So I wanted to share this on my YouTube channel. I want you to, I found this at a repurpose center. It's like a thrift store, but it's the last place before everything ends up in the trash. And I wanted to show you this. I'll give you a close-up. If you remember the movie Beauty and the Beast, where they had that scene where they had that special live rose with special magic powers that was placed in a special place that wasn't to be opened, and it was encased in glass. Anyway, when I saw this, at first I thought it was back in the 70s they would have these things that they would put under glass and then they would sell it, and that was the big thing back then in the 60s or 70s. So this is that old. And on the top, I didn't realize, but it says there's a real rose. It says here a place called Life's Sake. It's a real rose. It's an actual real rose that is held in time. The DNA and everything, it is real. And you can see some of the leaves there turning brown, a few of the leaves. But I think how they did this was they put it in place there, and then they made it all fancy with the fake leaves, because the leaves aren't real. But then they encased it and took out all of the air, sucked out all the air somehow. And because there's no air in there, it can't die. So it lays still in time, kind of like people who are saints when they're put in a special kind of encasing so that their bodies last forever, like that. So I wanted to put this on video because I've never seen a real live rose in this condition that's kept alive. And this rose is already, it doesn't say it's going to last indefinitely, but this was probably made in the 60s. I don't see any date anywhere. You can tell by the bow that this is really old. Probably made in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, so that would make it going on to 50 years old now already. And I've always told myself that I hated getting the roses because they always died within a week. Never really knew how to take care of them, and I hated picking them because they would die. And I said I always wanted a real rose, a real live rose that I'd never have to water and that would just stay alive forever. So I finally have it. So it's like the coolest thing. Anyway, I'll show you the back of the rose here. I don't know how they did it, but how cool is that? So I'll show you that from afar. And also tonight, I got a Cindy doll when I was a little girl, I think for a birthday present from my mother. And she had a wedding gown on like this. And I showed it to this new friend that I had made in my backyard. The fence, we'd talk from my side of the fence to hers, because I never was really allowed to go over there, or vice versa. And anyways, the next day, my Cindy doll had disappeared, and she had a white wedding dress on. So I believe that that girl stole the wedding, or stole my whole doll in the wedding gown and everything. And it was like my favorite childhood thing. So like 45 years later, I finally found this beautiful Barbie gown online, and I found this Cindy doll at a thrift store, and cleaned her all up and brushed her hair and made her new. And so I'm fulfilling a childhood dream here of finally getting that back, the doll in the wedding gown. So yeah, two really big things that I want to share with you. Anyways, okay, there it is. Isn't that beautiful? Now you've seen it. If you can do that to a real rose, then imagine what you can do with anything.